Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with theblogtoread.com. Please subscribe to Blog to Read videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is a review of the Citizen EcoDrive Perpetual Chrono AT, and this specific model is the AT4004-52E. Anyways, Citizen over the years has been perfecting their techie watches just like Seiko and Casio has, and Citizen has some really cool ones. And what they've been doing a lot lately is having, I guess you could say, semi-formal watches, but that are sort of for the technology and gadget enthusiasts. So this watch is meant to be sort of a formal watch that you can wear with a suit or casually. It's meant to be an everyday wear, but it has a lot of cool functionality in it. Primarily, because it's an EcoDrive movement, it's going to be powered by light, so sunlight or any light is going to move through the dial to charge up the battery in the quartz movement. It also syncs with atomic clocks. I think it's a 6-band, maybe it's a 5-band, I'm not sure exactly. That depends on how many different signals of atomic clocks around the world it can synchronize with. But if you're in the US or Japan or Europe or any of the places near the atomic clocks, you should be able to receive the signal. And so what the watch will do is, I think about once a day, or you can do it manually, it will be in receiving mode and it will receive the signal from the atomic clock. It's a radio signal, and it will sync the time, so it's always accurate. And I think that also incorporates the date, though I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's the time. So even though the movement itself is pretty accurate, it's going to be super accurate because of that synchronization. So it doesn't need battery changers because of that that light powered. It's going to sync with the atomic clock. And it's also a perpetual calendar, so you don't have to change the calendar data. So if you look on here, this is the basic dial. You have the date right here where it says 1. This sub-dial here is going to have the day of the week, so it's pointing at Sunday right now. And this one right here is a synchronized 24-hour hand. So it's basically like an AM/PM indicator. And then when you're setting the watch, you're obviously going to tell it, the month and things like that, and the leap year. But they assume that you're going to know what month you're in. One thing that's interesting, which I like, is down here, this little hand tells you what atomic clock and the time zone you're connected to. So this one is specifically, I think this is, there's different ones for the Eastern and Western market. I think this is the one for the Western market. But you see here it has different time zones here. So it's pointing to LAX. So I'm in California right now, I'm in Los Angeles, and so it knows that, and it points to that. And so if I moved to Denver, Chicago, New York, and London, if I moved to any of those places, it would just show on there. And if it was in a different place, I don't know where it would show. I don't know where that little hand would go if I wasn't in any of those zones. I'd have to check that out. Like on some of the newer Citizen watches are in this sort of higher bracket range. This has a Sapphire Crystal, which is great. It used to be that like Asia and Australia got some of the nicer Perpetual Chrono watches with the Sapphire Crystals, but the US market got the Mineral Crystals one. I don't know why, but this one does have a Sapphire Crystal, and that's great. It's water resistant to 200 meters. The case is steel. It's two-tone here. I forget exactly how wide it is. I want to say it's 42 millimeters wide. It actually looks a little bit bigger, but it's 42 millimeters wide. It's a good size. Maybe it could stand to be a millimeter more, but you can see here how the lugs extend across the wrist. So that's a good size. Because it has a wide lug structure, it has a nice look to it. You can see the hands are legible, and I like that. There is a lot going on in this dial. But despite that, it's a pretty legible watch because the hands stick out and there's good luminance on there. In addition to the time and perpetual calendar, there's a chronograph and alarm function. They are hard to use. It is not easy to get to them. So you have to look at the instructions with this watch to figure out how to use all the functionality. The good news is, although it takes a bit of a learning curve to learn how to adjust the watch, for the most part, once you do, you don't really need to do anything. If you're not going to use the chronograph or the alarm, it's kind of a set it and forget it thing. Because like I said, you don't need to change the battery. You don't need to really change the time. It has a perpetual calendar, so the calendar functions are basically in your lifetime never going to need to be adjusted unless the power goes out in the watch. And it's pretty great. There's other little things in here. So for example, here you can tell, it's a little hard to tell, there's a little scale that looks like a power reserve scale there. You can actually, there's a function here where you can tell, it'll tell you how much power is in the battery and if you need to put it in light or something like that. Citizen's really thought of a lot of things, and I definitely appreciate that on here. Style here, you know, it's kind of a love it or leave it thing, but I think it's pretty nice. You know, they combine sport and formal. So that two-tone thing, definitely something that's more akin to a formal watch. There's a tachometer scale in the bezel, definitely something that's there on a sport watch. So they kind of mix genres a little bit there, and that's fine. I haven't sized the bracelet yet here. It's a push-button bracelet, which is fine. Very comfortable on the wrist. It's a handsome-looking watch. It's good. You know, to get this as a gift for someone that likes watches but doesn't always want to you know, focus on all the little nitty-gritty things like winding a mechanical watch or dealing with setting it. This is a good option. This is a really, really good option. So overall, I like this thing a lot, and there are other watches similar to it that have little different styles here and there. Again, this is the Citizen EcoDrive Perpetual Chrono AT, and the retail price is $575. You can see the full review on ablogtoread.com. Thanks.